right, shot number one. Not bad.
You Make It, We Mock It is where we test the coolest, wildest, deadliest 12-gauge ammunition ever imagined. These are all prototypes, and you get to see it tested for the very first time. Now, it's easy to think that these are made by some weapons company, but no, they were made by our very own viewers. Hello, this is Jeff of Talflater Mouse. Today we're going to be testing out the unusual Longfellow 12-gauge slug by no other than Evan Perry of Texas. Now, if I were to hand this object to a perfect stranger and ask them to tell me what they thought it was, it's pretty unlikely they would identify it as a 12-gauge projectile. The Longfellow is long, measuring just over 2 inches or almost 52 millimeters in length. And that is over 3 times the length of a Foster slug, or what commenters often call a normal 12-gauge slug. The Longfellow consists of a brass body that looks similar to the grip area of a dart, and it has 2 steel washers and a couple screws that hold it all together. For these tests, we'll be using a 2-piece discarding sabot. The sabot keeps it centered in the barrel and also protects the barrel from steel to steel contact. You'll notice there's very little contact between the sabot and the projectile, and most of the mass is towards the center of the projectile. Now, with those two factors and its length, it's not going to be a very good candidate to try to stabilize this using spin. So our only option is to use a smoothbore. Of course, we have a finite space in the shell, so we have to use some very compact components. The obturator 12 gas seal, a penny to support it all, and of course we have to have room for the powder charge itself. Evan sent 6 of the knurled version, and we have this one orphan slug. And this is just slightly heavier, coming in at around 20 grams. Let's head out to the test range and see how the Longfellow performs.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Jeff out here at the test range, and we're testing out Evan's Longfellow slug. The very long, 2-inch long projectile. Looks like a spool off of an Addy machine or something. But we're gonna start out with the lightest possible powder load, 12 grains of E3. It's very, I'm hoping this will be subsonic, and I'm hoping we'll get a reading on the lab radar chronograph. But the thing, it can be difficult to get projectiles down to subsonic speeds and not create a squib in the barrel where the projectile, there's not quite enough power to drive it all the way down the barrel, in other words, and it gets stuck in the barrel. So hopefully I've got the powder load right on here, and then after this one we will progressively use some higher weight powder loads, 14, 18, and go all the way up to 20 grains of E3, yes. So we're about 15 yards away from the target. Just a water bottle. See what, this is like pellet rifle velocity. So I want to see how these perform at subsonic speeds if possible. All right, shot number one. Not bad. So that was 1285, a little faster than I'd hope, but again, I didn't want to create a squib, so that was our lowest velocity one, so we're looking pretty good so far.
Now, for those doubting this thing would ever fly straight through the air with any type of stability, well, surprise, surprise, that thing did great. Okay, I was surprised too. Now we can see the projectile, we can see the penny, it's all dome-shaped now from the high pressure, the gas seal flying off to the left, and then we can even see one of the sabots. And all those components were in good condition. Oh, there's the other sabot right there.
Well, much to my surprise and relief, we did get ballistic stability on that shot. A lot of people said, shooting that thing out of a smoothbore, it's just going to tumble end over end, but that's not the case. Once again, Evan shows us his mastery at the understanding of supersonic ballistics. Okay, we're going from 12 grains to 14 grains now. And I also moved the target back a couple yards back, so you can probably see the wet spot there where the table used to be. I'm starting to get a little bit of confidence in these. Even sounded different. Yeah, no new reading on the chronograph. Surprise, surprise. Sometimes having that penny in there will throw it off.
In shot number 2, we see a component failure, probably the screw holding the rear washer on. And that, of course, leads to poor stability and less than ideal accuracy. In fact, it's a small miracle it hit the target at all. Now, at this point, I have to ask myself, did I use too much of a powder load and push it just too hard, or was the screw just defective? Let's try another 14 grain charge and see if the results are any different. The next target is the Ballistic gelatin in a paint can. And this was just arrived on my doorstep. First I got the gelatin, and then I got some packets of dye, and then I got the paint cans. And then I found out it came from brothers Steven and Andy. Thank you very much for supplying this. And they also sent this duck that is also a bat. It's a bat duck. And I promise you, you will never see this unusual target on any other channel.
Okay, another 14 grain powder load. Oh, so 1132.
Well, we had another failure of the screw. Again, it's just remarkable that we hit the can at all with that big old slug tumbling around through the air like that. I have to warn you, the rest of the tests don't get any better. So either leave now, or if you like watching train wrecks, well, keep on watching. We have a few more tests to do. This was definitely not a pleasant day of testing. It started out looking so good, and I think 12 grains was the magic number.
All right, next target, using an 18 grain powder load. I hope it holds together. We've got the Shack limited edition. They only made 100 million of these. Basketball. I found this in my backyard. Apparently the neighbor kids lobbed it over the fence, and they never asked me to get it for them or anything. And it's been back there a while, apparently. They probably graduated from high school already. But let's see how 18 grains does on the Ballistic basketball. Here we go. Oh, we just clipped it, looks like. No lab radar reading on that one.
And of course, pushing the projectile even harder didn't help matters at all. And we hit it with two objects. We hit it with the main body on the right and clipped it on the left with that broken off washer. Now we only have a few more of these left. Let's get this over with.
Okay, I've moved the target a little closer, even closer than the first shot. So we're about maybe 12 yards away. Okay, 18 grains.
And once again, we lost the rear washer. The rear washer acts like kind of like fins. I call it a mono fin. It creates the drag for it to stabilize, and without that, there's just no chance of it stabilizing.
Okay, ready or not, here we go.
In this one, we were using 20 grains of E3, and that thing came apart like a $2 suit. Now, the good news is we only have one of these left, the Orphan Slug. Now, this is a little bit heavier and a little thicker, and again, we'll be using 20 grains of E3 to drive this thing.
Wish me luck. Wow. I'm getting no chrono reading, but man, that thing hit with some authority.
And we're going to save the worst of the worst for last year. Just some of the washers hit the target. There goes the body tumbling off into space there. Now, 20 grains of E3 you'd use that for a pretty hot bird shot load with a 1 to 1 1/8 ounce payload. Now, it was quite a surprise to me that the screws failed, because we're pushing this thing very evenly from the end, and yet that screw would fail most of the time. It was only that 12 grain load that I worried about becoming a squib load that actually functioned well. So I really screwed up by overpowering these things and having too much confidence and hoping that the screw breakage was just a fluke.
Look like the washers kind of hit it in the upper left corner there. See a few little marks there, but oh yeah, definitely not strong. These things were definitely not strong enough to handle full pressure 10,000 psi loads. So yeah, I had high hopes for these things, but sometimes it's difficult to know what they're gonna do. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this anyway. This is a quick one, and next week we're gonna have a pretty cool video to show you guys. Not sure if Brian is next. I think Brian is next for his slugs. So stay tuned, and I gotta get I should have stayed in bed today. We'll see you later.